Hi, friends. I know about half of us got logged on, so you got to hear me read the chapter book live, but I know not everyone did. So I want to make sure if you weren't able to do our Google Meet, that you still know what's happening. So I'm going to catch you up. We just read one chapter today. So if you remember, Desperaux is back upstairs, and we know that Rascuro has some kind of evil plan afoot. So we're on chapter 36, What Mig Carried. And while the mouse slept, Rascuro put his terrible plan into effect. Would you like to hear, reader, how it unfolded? The story is not a pretty one. There's violence in it and cruelty. But stories that are not pretty have a certain value too. Everything, as you well know, cannot always be sweetness and light. Listen, this is how it happened. First, the rat finished once and for all the job he had started long ago. He chewed through Gregory's rope, all the way through it, so that the jailer became lost in the maze of the dungeon. Late at night, when the castle was dark, the serving girl, Miggery So, climbed the stairs to the princess's room. In her hand, she carried a candle, and in the pockets of her apron were two very ominous things. In the right pocket, hidden in case they should encounter anyone on the stairs, was a rat with a spoon on his head and a cloak of red around his shoulders. In the left pocket was a kitchen knife, the same knife that Miggery So had used to cut off the tail of a certain mouse. These were the things, a rat, a knife, and a candle, that Mig carried with her as she climbed up, up, up the stairs. "Gore," she shouted to the rat. "It's dark, ain't it?" "Yes, yes," whispered Rascuro from her pocket. "It is quite dark, my dear." "When I'm princess," Mig began. "Shh," said Rascuro. "May I suggest you keep your glorious plans for the future to yourself? And may I further suggest that you keep your voice down to a whisper? We are, after all, on a covert secret mission. Do you know how to whisper, my dear?" "I do," shouted Mig. "Then please," said Rascuro, "please institute this knowledge immediately." "Gore," whispered Mig. "All right." "Thank you," said Rascuro. "Do I need to review with you again our plan of action?" "I got it all straight here in my head," whispered Mig, and she tapped the side of her head with one finger. "How comforting," said Rascuro. "Perhaps, my dear, we should go over it again. One more time, just to be sure." "Well," said Meg, "we go into the princess's room, and she'll be sleeping and snoozing and snoring, and I will wake her up and show her the knife and say, 'If you does not want to get hurt, princess, you must come with me.'" "And you will not hurt her," said Rascuro. "No, I won't, because I want her to live so she can be my lady in waiting when I become princess." "Exactly," said Rascuro. "That will be her divine comeuppance." "Gore," whispered Meg. "Yes, her divine comeuppance." Meg had, of course, no idea what the phrase divine comeuppance meant, but she very much liked the sound of it, and she repeated it over and over to herself until Rascuro said, "And then?" "And then," continued Meg, "I tells her to get out of her princess bed and come with me on a little journey." said Rascuro. "A little journey, that's right. I love the understatement of the phrase. A little journey. Oh, indeed, it will be." "And then," said Meg, who was now coming to her favorite part of the plan, "we take her to the deep downs, and we give her some long lessons in how to be a servant girl, and we give me some short lessons in how to be a princess. And when we's all done studying up, we switch places. I get to be the princess, and she gets to be the maid." Gore. Reader, this is the very plan that Rascuro presented to Meg when he first met her. It was, of course, a ridiculous plan. No one would ever, not for one blind minute, mistake Mig for the princess or the princess for Mig. But Miggery So, as I pointed out before, was not the sharpest knife in the drawer. And reader, she so desperately wanted to be a princess. She wanted, oh, how she wanted. And it was because of this terrible wanting that she was able to believe in Roscuro's plan with every ounce of her heart. But the rat's real plan, in a way, was more simple and more terrible. Roscuro intended to take the princess to the deepest, darkest parts of the dungeon. He intended to have Mig put chains on the princess's hands and her feet, and he intended to keep the glittering, glowing, laughing princess there in the dark forever. So there are kind of two plans. Roscuro's real plan is just to capture the princess, but he told Mig a slightly different plan so that Mig would help him get her to the dungeon. All right, friends, we'll continue our read aloud tomorrow. Okay, I loved seeing some of you guys. All right,